guys, and welcome back to another lyrical breakdown with your lady friend Bonnie. I am really happy to be here this week. I hope you guys are happy to be here. What are you guys up to? Tell me about your day. What do you guys do for jobs? I need to know all about you. Just say hey down below, and I'll say hey back. So this week I am doing a lyrical breakdown that was requested, I think, a couple of times by a couple of people. And this week I'm doing Zero, Greed, Vanity Lust. I'm not really sure. I think it's just Greed, but I think that a lot of people call it Greed, Vanity, Lust. So I feel like you kind of know what it's going to be about. Greed, Vanity, Lust. So this is a rapper that I had never listened to before. So it was someone really, that I was really just discovering, I guess. And I liked it. I thought it was a nice, kind of smooth, mellow kind of like vibe, but like still like, it keeps you like bobbing your head. And like, I liked it. It was a good song. So if you haven't checked it out, do so. And yeah, you'll probably enjoy it too. It's a cool song. It's nice. And this came out on May 8th, 2007 off of his album King of the Ghetto and Power. I wasn't really sure what that was for, but yeah. So he's an interesting guy. He's from Texas, Houston, I think specifically. I think that's like pretty important. I think he talks about like being from Houston a lot. So he's kind of like another like Texas Southern rapper. I don't really think that I would have like, obviously in my life otherwise probably discovered these guys or other types of music that I've listened to for this channel. And I think that's really cool. And so I really like your suggestions. If you know anybody that's maybe a little bit I'm really enjoying this kind of like underground rap. Like I think that's what this is. Like, it's just not that like, it's not that exposed but it's still like interesting and people like it and it's good and it's really cool. So if anybody knows any other like cool underground rappers or songs that I should check out, definitely link them down below. As well, I would love to do some more kind of like international rappers if there's any like really cool rappers from around the world that maybe you know of that isn't just like the States and Canada. Like I'd like to maybe kind of explore a little bit more. There's more, right? Someone's got to be rapping out there. So I'd like to check that out sometime. So if you guys know of anybody, let me know definitely down below, please. Let's get into it. Let's have a little listen to start off with. Okay, so it's basically like a story the whole way through, and I will start now. Look, I knew this fella named Frank who had bank from pulling maneuvers. No discrimination for Fetty, this brother would do ya. His whole life he'd been broke, but he got tired of the feeling, started indulging in drug dealing, wasn't scared to be cat peeling. A soldier, before the wrong cars he boasted, screaming, give it up, you gave it up, or else you get toasted. Kept his finger on the trigger every time he rode. Frank took out all the drug dealers and had his hood sewed. So right away, he's telling us, like I said, a story. Like it's pretty clear. He's like, hey, this is about this guy, Frank, that I used to know or was his friend or whatever. So he tells us about him, and this is his story kind of. And he made money by committing crimes and killing people and kind of, doing a little maybe a few bad things, I think. And Frank, for me, when I think of a guy named Frank that's kind of like up to no good, I think of someone that's more in like the mafia or something. I don't know. Anybody else? But yeah, I mean, he could just be another bad guy, right? And he's also not scared to go after the police, after the Fetty, I think. So his whole life he spent being poor. And like this was kind of like his way out. So he's just trying to like escape. And so he started getting into drug dealing, and like that's how he was going to make his money. And like, he was willing to do anything. He's not scared to pull out his gun if necessary. And he's basically like a soldier in the ghetto, and he's there kind of like fighting his own little like turf war or whatever. he starts fights with like the wrong people. He gets into trouble. He drives around town and he's always like ready to shoot. So he's got his gun on hand at all times when he's driving around. So you kind of already get like the feeling that maybe something bad's gonna happen. And like this guy killed all the drug dealers and like making his hood sewed, which I got Holden to ask because I was trying to figure out what the heck that meant. And I guess it just made people like come together because they probably appreciated Frank a whole bunch for like getting rid of all the drug dealers or stopping all of that. I mean, all the people who don't want kids and families and stuff that don't want the people in their family that are maybe addicted to the whatever drugs. So I'm sure that they appreciate them not being around anymore. But then again, we're gonna see what happens. So mafia menace to his community. See, I knew he was like in the mafia. Just makes sense. So I hope you guys were like visualizing that with me. So mafia menace to his community. His money was long. Wouldn't let his partners make no money, let alone sell stones. Flipping in the finest cars, gator shoes and boots, chinchilla furs, him and hers, double-breasted blue suits. For him and his broad, but where was God? Not around his riches, 'cause he quickly fell in a 6-foot in a 6-foot ditch too deep. Him and his missus. The moral of the story: if you sow it, I promise you'll reap it. Greed ain't nothing but a lesson, so listen up when I teach it. So, I mean, like I said at the beginning, right away you can kind of get like the gist that he's kind of in the mafia. Maybe he's like obviously involved with some like dangerous mobster types. And also, it's kind of a play on words that I discovered. Menace Mafia is apparently a hip hop group from Houston. And so that's probably, they maybe have some sort of like relation or they work together or they know each other or something. So a little fun fact. And obviously, so this guy, he's running the drug dealing now. He's taking over. He's making a lot of money. And he's kind of like showy about it. He's living a lush life. He's got fancy cars and clothes. And like he has his lady, his partner, and he has her like dressing, to the nines, and she's all decked out and, in fancy clothes and whatever. And this is where Zero questions kind of like, this guy's morality and like, where's God? Like, he's not around, because he's certainly not around like his evil money, he kind of implies. And Frank and his wife end up both getting killed or end up dead. Not long probably after they started showing off like all of their money and like what they had. And like, this is still like probably a poorer community. So it just makes sense. Especially if like people are like, it's a dog eat dog world. So yeah, so like basically like the moral of the story is like, you made your bed, now lay in it. And you end up in exactly the situation that you deserve to be in because, maybe you did a few bad things. And that's the lesson of greed. And he's telling you this, and he just wants you to listen up when he's telling you and take note. Like, don't, fall into like the same kind of troublesome circumstances that, this person or like these people that we're going to kind of like go through. That's what they did, I guess. So then we have the hook, and then that's done twice. I suppose I'll just read it once. So it's greed, vanity, lust, the main 3 things that'll make you end up in the dust. It's 7 sins that women and men commit 24/7. You better watch it or get 187. I'm trying to tell ya. So it's pretty cool. I really like the hook. I mean, it's a hook for a reason. It gets you. It makes you. It sticks in your head. It's a fun hook, as well. So like greed, vanity, and lust are part of like the 7 deadly sins, which I believe is from the Bible. That's what I know. I have seen the Brad Pitt movie, so there's that about the 7 deadly sins. So he's saying that these maybe are the worst sins in his opinion. And also like these are the ones that are going to make you die. But I mean, I guess that's why they're called deadly sins. And so people commit these kinds of sins all the time, and he's kind of warning us, be careful, don't do these things. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a 187, which is a police code for murder. You don't want to end up murdered. And they'll be the ones who will find your dead body. So, I mean, the police are going to be the ones that find you, not like your family or your loved ones or whatever. Like, you're probably just going to be killed and left somewhere. So, yeah. So we can go on to the second part of the song. So, get out the mirror, little mama, because you looking good enough. Already degraded your image because you the hood slut. Walking in and out of houses, jumping in and out of cars. Got too many boyfriends, thinking you love them from the heart. You just trying to get into their pockets. Use a gold digger, acting like you down like faux flats to get some more figures. Steady throwing miscarriage into the face to make them believe. Better not make nobody fall in love because they might make you bleed. So here he's kind of telling a different story about a different girl, this, little mama. And he's kind of telling her to like step away from the mirror. So he's obviously, like I said, it's a whole new story. And saying that, she looks good enough, like just put it down, like you're going to be fine, whatever. Stop picking at yourself maybe. And obviously that goes back to the whole story of Narcissus, and him like getting like obsessed by like looking at his reflection in a pool of water, I believe. And I think he ended up dying or being transformed or something. So that's like some ancient Greek story in case you didn't already know that. That's what Narcissus was, a person. And that's kind of what it's based off of. Like when you stare at yourself in a mirror and you love yourself so much. That's narcissism. Yeah, so she's obviously pretty, but that's probably not how people look at her anymore. And he's saying that, she's kind of screwed her image of herself and her reputation, which is pretty important. You want to have a good reputation, right? So people look at her more like she's like an easy woman, and like everybody kind of knows that that's what she is. And she's always having sex in and out of cars and out of houses, and so that kind of makes me think that maybe she's like a prostitute, and if she's in it for money, then I suppose that she maybe is a prostitute, which is fine. If a girl's got to do it, you do you. But yeah, and like, he's also saying that like, you have too many boyfriends, and it's obviously you don't love them all, but they all think that you do. And I think that she's kind of like flossing. She's kind of like acting rich in order to get more money, figures like money. And she makes the guys kind of want to marry her, because she tricks them into thinking that, like I said, that she loves them. But he kind of warns her to be careful because like if you make them fall in love with it and they find out that that it's not real, some of these guys are tough guys and they may hurt you physically, so, may make you bleed. So just be careful. He's letting you know. Okay, so fake nails, fake hair, on down to your thighs, ain't nothing but an imitation. Your whole life is a lie. Harsh. You need to slow down and get a grip on yourself before you catch something you can't throw back and HIV yourself. Your phone ain't ringing because fellas see you losing weight. You ain't even confident no more. Look like you losing faith. Every day the moral of the story, sew it up and you'll reap it. Vanity ain't nothing but a lesson. Listen up when I teach it. So like at the very end, it's all kind of like the similar. He kind of wraps up each verse a little bit like the same, but it's still a lesson. Like he's teaching you something in his verses, which is pretty cool. So everything about this girl is fake, and everything is just like an illusion. And he basically says that her life is a lie, and like what she believes isn't true, and it's just fake, and it's just like she's obviously hiding from her own self. If she's like, maybe she has got like a wig, or she's got like a lot of makeup, or, whatever people do, liposuction or fillers, whatever people get. So yeah, so he's just saying that. And he's kind of warning her So each time there's like a warning involved, that she better be careful and slow down, that kind of like Hohen behavior, or else she'll end up with like a disease, like HIV, which, can kill you. And, I'm sure it still does, but like we're kind of getting the hang of that, thankfully. Um, so nobody's calling her, and, maybe she looks like skinny and gross, like maybe she's not taking good care of herself, or she's like losing weight, like because she's like maybe she's like anorexic and she's like concerned with her image so much, that she's kind of like not paying attention to what's going on around her. And I think that anorexic people probably like stare in the mirror a lot, and they kind of analyze their bodies. And she's kind of lost her confidence, and probably because of like all the things that she did with guys or to guys, and what guys did to her, as well. So she's losing her faith in her beauty and what it can do, because she's kind of like, obviously she's not getting like the same attention that maybe she once did. So she's kind of become like ugly because of like her actions and what she's been doing. And basically the moral of this story is, you get what you put into life, basically. So if you put, negative, bad things, mean things, or hurtful things, or whatever, like that's what you're going to get back, unfortunately. Or fortunately, because you probably deserve them. But maybe not. I mean, there's probably a reason why. Anyways, I'm not here to judge anybody. So Vanity is obviously like a lesson he's just trying to like help you avoid. So, listen up. He's paying attention. Make sure you're not making the same kind of mistakes is basically what he's saying. So it's always nice to hear like these like refreshing, nice, moralistic kind of stories. And then we have the hook again, two more times. Greed, vanity, lust, the main three things that'll make you end up in the dust. It's 7 sins that women and men commit 24/7. You better watch it or get 187. I'm trying to tell you. Again, don't fall for it. It's the devil, essentially. So then we go on to the third part. I bet you can guess what it is. So, my man would have done anything to get with Nancy, but she was vanitized, had to flip in something fancy. Just to get her attention, had to floss a piece and chain. When he scooped her up from the hood in his candy red range. Peep the game, now the way she talk and the way she walk, but he didn't know she had the power to leave him outlined in chalk. But he was blind to the fact he had to take her to his house to switch up his Cadillac. That's a dumbass move. So here the third story is about, it's obviously lust, right? So his friend would have done anything to get with this girl, Nancy, and it kind of sounds like it may be the girl from the previous story, but I'm not 100% certain. It could be, because she's also full of vanity, which is what he says. And she's kind of interested in nice, expensive things. So I could see how it could definitely tie in. So I'm not sure if it is tied into that story, or if it's just another girl. So just to get her to pay attention to him, he has to show her like a fancy chain, either maybe like one that he's wearing, just to kind of show that he's got money, or maybe he has to buy her like some jewelry, And the way to a lady's heart is Tiffany's, gentlemen. I'll just say that. But I'm not a gold digger. When he picked her up at her place, he's obviously in like a fancy car. He's in a Range Rover, which is a nice car. And peep the game apparently means to inform someone of something, or do something. Like I don't know. Like I think she was maybe like picking up on like all these like little clues, and like she was kind of playing him essentially. So I think that maybe, yeah, I think that's just what it is. And now he's basically like hooked on this girl. He probably, if she is the girl from the previous part, then she's probably like an easy lady, and will kind of do whatever she's got to do. So I'm sure she probably did some sort of sexual thing and like got him hooked. And or if it's maybe it's another girl, and same kind of situation, I guess. Um, so yeah, so she's got the power at this point, and like the connections that she has. She also has, interesting people that could, get him killed, but he doesn't even realize that, and he's kind of foolish and like brings this girl to his house to change his cars. So he's obviously like showing like the garage where all of his fancy cars are, and then he kind of does whatever. And just a bit showy and stupid, showing where he lives. And obviously, like, they go into the house so she can kind of maybe scope out some of, like, the more expensive things or whatever. And in Zero's words, it's a dumbass move. And I will agree with him. That is a dumbass move. Maybe don't bring the girl back on your first date. Get to know her. And then maybe she won't rob you, which we find out. So now she know where he live. Dude ain't nothing but a flunky, steady exposing his riches, hoping he might get lucky, but luck is running out for dude. He capping too hard, didn't notice he was being followed by a couple of cars. Straight to the motel, the hotel, the Holiday Inn. She left the door cracked open so the jackers could come in. The moral of the story, if you sow it, yeah, you reap it. Lust ain't nothing but a lesson. Listen up while I teach it. Yeah, we knew that was coming. So, basically, like, now he knows, now she knows where he lives. And he's obviously an idiot and keeps probably showing her, more expensive things and whatever. And he's probably just trying to, like, impress her and, get her, like, attention. And, this is why I get some guys do this, and girls too. I'm not going to, they can fall for guys too in stupid ways. But let's keep going. So luck is obviously running out for this guy because, she's sly and she's playing him, and he's showing off too much, and, he's obviously got himself in some unknown hot water at this point. So off they go to like the hotel or the motel, Holiday Inn. I like that. It was a fun, that's been done before. And I'm guessing to have sex, they're going out, they're doing whatever. And meanwhile, she left the door to the house open so that, like, maybe her partners in crime or whoever, like, scandalous people that she's hanging out with are able to, like, go in and rob the place. And it could also be like there's kind of like two ways I saw the story going, at least from my point of view. So I felt like it could also be maybe that she left like the hotel door open, so like this is at the hotel instead of like the house, so that she could come, so that the people could come in and rob him like directly. If he does have like that chain that he was talking about, or if she's wearing it, like I'm not sure again with that, but it's probably her chain at this point. But I don't think that that's the likely story. I think it's more like she left the door open to his house. And, yeah, don't do that, man. And, so the moral of the story is, if you lust after, like, some sexy woman and she's able to, like, take advantage of you because of that, and she's kind of playing you, and you're maybe not aware, or you're just, like, buying into it, and you're just kind of, like, you're agreeing to, like, her behavior, kind of, then you'll get screwed over or killed, or, like, you'll have stuff in your house taken, if you live in some fancy house, or your cars, or whatever. And just, I think with lust, just make sure that you're paying attention to, you sometimes just get so focused on like the one person that you're lusting after. And then, again, you're just going to get caught up in that. And it's just taking the focus off of what you should be paying attention to a lot more. And then again, we have the hook again, 2 more times. Greed, vanity, lust, the main 3 things that'll make you end up in the dust. It's 7 sins that women and men commit 24/7. You better watch it or get 187. I'm trying to tell you. So this is pretty much, that's the whole song. It's basically like a realistic, moral kind of teaching song. With like real situations, and he's trying to relate with like people that he may have known, or I feel like maybe some of these are stories, but it could be a person a friend of a friend who maybe knew this kind of situation that was happening. But either way, there's some crazy stories, and they do teach you what not to do, kind of. So if you pay attention, he's just trying to like teach you and make you a better person and more aware of what's going on. So yeah, and it gives you warnings, so you're not going to make the same mistakes. Like these guys did. It teaches you to be better, and like you can kind of like and smarter, I guess. And I really like the way that this song flowed. I very much enjoyed listening to it. I very much enjoyed the lessons. Overall, I really like this song, and I'm glad that you guys suggested it. So thank you. Um, so that's pretty much it. I would like to say thank you to our Patreons, our patrons over on Patreon. Lindell Williams, Mozart, and Super Old School in 1994. And if you would like to support us further, there's a few bonuses and things like that you get. All the information is down below. And you can follow me on Twitter. Don't forget at YLF Bonnie, your lady friend Bonnie. So I am over there waiting for you. Like I said, if you guys have any suggestions as to other songs you want me to look into, let me know. And that's about it for me, guys. So have a great week, and I will see you next time. Bye!